Good evening, and welcome to the happenings in Medfield. As you may be aware of our previous programs relative to discussion with the Selectman and the press, it's always a privilege to be able to sit and talk to the press and to the Selectman relative to many topics. And so I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce you. Number one is the press, Theresa, Knapp, and the chairman of the Selectmen, Mr. Mark Fisher.
Jack, nice to see you.
So nice to have both of you.
Thank you.
And so to open, situations existing, Mark, relative to the town meeting. I know there's a number of articles, and I know there is 2 or 3 that are very, very important. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to let you take it from there.
Sure, thanks. So we've got a busy springtime, and we've got a lot of things obviously happening in town, and give folks kind of a little bit of an update as far as where we stand with things. The annual town meeting is on Monday, April 28th. It's always the last Monday in April, so there'll be a number of important articles on there. We're also going to have a special town meeting sometime in March, probably around the middle of March or so. We haven't set that yet, but to talk about the state hospital land. I think most of you know, and reading in the press and stuff like that, that we've been negotiating with the state to buy the hospital land and to give the town the opportunity to develop the land as we see fit. So we do need to have a special town meeting in March to see if the town will vote to buy the land, and then we can go ahead and take it to the next step. So that's probably going to happen mid-March or so, and we should have a date very, very soon on that. We also have town, just throw a little plug in, we also got town elections coming up the end of March, March 31st, so that'll be all for anyone that's running for re-election, including myself.
You are running for re-election.
Yes, yes. So I wanted to throw that little plug in there.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, so we'll be taking care of that. And like I said, it's very important for everyone to go out and vote at the town elections. Town meeting, a number of things that'll be coming up. We'll be looking at, we've been progressing quite a bit. The Permanent Building Committee has been looking at a new public safety building. I think everyone aware. We need a new home for the police and the fire department. It's very cramped over there, not very, very safe. So they'll be coming to town meeting. I think we're just looking at some money to continue with the plans. They're not quite ready, I don't believe, to come up with a number or a budget for us to vote on it yet. So I think we'll just be taking it to the next incremental step there to get there. They're going to come in and see the Selectmen the end of this month for one of our meetings, and we'll kind of get an update from them as far as where they plan to stand on that. So that's pretty exciting. That was one of the things that I think is very important for us, the town, to move forward with, as well as obviously the state hospital. Another big thing that's going to come up at town meeting also, we'll be looking at the water tower. We've approved some money to come up with some designs. The state has agreed to sell us the land essentially for no money where the water tower is at the state hospital, as well as access roads for that. So we do need a new water tower up there, so we'll be coming to town meeting in April to appropriate some funds for that, and the Water and Sewer Board and everyone will be making some recommendations shortly with us, so we'll have some plans. So we've got a lot of big things coming up, a lot of big projects that we need to get taken care of in town.
Well, I find that talking with people, as I usually wander around Medfield, questions are asked. There had been, I believe, 2 or 3 in a little circle that had taken that walk. Mm-hmm. And consequently, as you may know, here at Medfield TV, we filmed it because there was a lot of people, unfortunately, that couldn't. It was, I understand, a very good walk, and comments were regarding the building, regarding the property, and I think you've been covering that. Yeah. Those are very, very important factors relative to Medfield.
Sure.
And emphasis, I find, that was laid on the water tower. Mm-hmm. Make any comments on that?
Sure. I think it's for the folks that, if you do get a chance to go up and to walk around the state hospital, probably I think you certainly should take advantage of it if you can. It's certainly open to the public. Security companies up there, and they just kind of check in to make sure everything's safe and stuff like that. But certainly anyone's willing to is free to walk around. Terrific property. So the big thing that we'll be looking at up there, obviously, with the state hospital land, is, what are we going to do with it? What should the town do with it? We had the State Hospital Advisory Committee had a visioning session this last Saturday at the center that went for 5 hours, where they started the initial public input and process as far as taking a look at, what's the town interested? What are we interested in doing up there? We've got, 130 some odd acres of land that will be available to the town if we decide to purchase it. The sledding hill on one side of the road, which is around 34 acres, and then the rest is on the other side of the road, that main hospital campus. And there's a lot of potential there, what to do. The buildings are obviously in great disrepair, something that'll have to be considered, but certainly housing is obviously a big need in town. And I think, as we've talked about in the past, everyone talked about affordable housing, particularly I think for people that are getting older and they want to downsize, but they want to stay in town. And I know, we've lost a lot of friends, and a lot of people have moved to some of the neighboring towns because they haven't been able to find the right size house or the right priced house in Medfield to stay, once the kids are out of the school system. So it would be great, and I hope that the town will be able to develop a plan to at least incorporate some of that housing up there to kind of meet some of that needs. I know that was expressed very strongly at that session on Saturday, and I know a lot of people very strongly about that, to have some type of affordable housing up there.
Well, I find that, as I had said earlier at the beginning of the program, talking with these people, affordable housing in Medfield.
Right.
What's booming? Anything happening?
Not really, no. Obviously there was the affordable housing apartments was approved on West Street, and that went through. Obviously there's quite a furor over that and stuff like that, and issues with that. But as far as we can see, it hasn't moved forward at this point, at least from what I've seen. So I don't know where that stands. But like I said, it certainly is a crying need for a lot of people to get something that is a more manageable size. And even homes that are built as the population ages. We talk about having the bedrooms on the first floor. So you get rid of the stair issue and stuff like that as people get older. And so like I said, hopefully, we would like to think that if the town does decide to buy the land up at the state hospital, that we can incorporate some housing up there. I think it would be terrific for the town, and certainly everyone's pretty much in favor of that.
Mark, the town garage, how's it coming along?
It's coming along really, really good. It's important for people if they get a chance just to pop down and drive around. You can drive down on the property and take a look at it. I would recommend probably doing it on the weekends when the gentlemen aren't there working. It gets pretty hectic and stuff during the week, but the building is coming along very, very nicely and stuff. They slowed up a little bit. They had little delays. We had that batch of very, very cold weather, and that slows down the masons a lot as far as mixing the mortar and stuff when it gets very, very cold. But it's coming along pretty nicely, and it's going to be a fabulous building when it's done. It looks really nice on the site. I think they did a very, very nice job. It's set nicely. I think it's great, and you can really should be proud of the DPW department, because they're the ones that graded the land. Really kind of got the site ready for the building. So our town really was able to do that. All the guys were able to do that down there, Ken and the guys. So they did a nice job. It's looking really good. Looking really good.
Now I'm going to turn this over to the press. Theresa, do you have any questions for the chairman?
I was curious about the Roach brothers coming in.
Yep.
I was curious about what you're hearing about the Clark Tavern.
Yep.
And then also the Pocket Park seems
Sure.
to be something
Yeah.
people are talking about.
Sure, definitely. So obviously Roach Brothers, so the name of the market I think is Brothers Market, and it was nice. I know they've been making the rounds, kind of keeping everyone up to date as far as where it stands. Most recently, we had a number of ladies from Roach Brothers come over and do a presentation at the Memo monthly meeting on Monday night. And so it was nice. They had a little slideshow and kind of talked a little bit about where they stood. So at the moment, it looks like they're probably scheduled to open probably June or July at this point. So a little bit of a delay, but that always happens, I think, any type of a building project. By the time you get your permits done and get everything settled, it always takes longer than what they'd like to do and hope to. So it looks like it's going to be fabulous. The two women that spoke to Memo, very, very experienced in the food business and just loved food, talked about it. So I think everyone's going to be pleasantly surprised when they see what's available there. One of the ladies had worked for many years for Whole Foods and has a lot of experience there in that. And the other woman is a long-term employee for Roach Brothers. And so I think it's going to be a wonderful concept. They're really kind of focusing, I think people understand, but they're going to really try to focus as being like the neighborhood market. Mm-hmm. The stuff that I think is going to change a lot over time. Food's going to come in and out as it's fresh and what's available. So it's going to be a completely different look than what you would see for a normal. It's not just a shrunk down supermarket. It's really a totally different effect and a lot of prepared food. So it'll be nice. It'll be nice to have the building not vacant,
live again.
Live again. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it'll be a tremendous asset, I think, to downtown Medfield. So we can't wait to see that take place and stuff. So that takes care of Brothers Market. Pocket Park, I think they're moving forward. They're working on looking at some names and stuff like that. So they're working on some getting a contest for that. So that'll be very interesting. The Pocket Park, for people that don't know, is the strip of land in between Starbucks and Zebra's restaurant there that the town owns. There's a little strip of grass there. So we've got a committee that's been really engaged in getting that developed and getting some benches and other things in there, so we can really kind of make it obviously much more open and have people kind of sitting around downtown. So I think that'll work out very well.
Question.
Yeah.
The library and parking.
Yeah.
Now, as you may know, at one time when boards were there,
Yeah.
Bill Kelly, you had that parking area way in the back.
Yep.
Is that going to affect the Roach Brother coming in? Will any of that area be affected relative for parking? Because I have seen it, where they'll park their car, bring the little ones, and they go to the library.
Right.
So I'm wondering, is any of that area that they now go to park be affected?
It's really, from what I understand, everything's designed to really kind of stay the same, the way it always was, as far as the agreement that the town had between them and the Kellys. It's really worked out the same thing with Roach Brothers. That back parking lot is really designated for patrons of the library. They really shouldn't be parking, obviously, in the close-up lot. I mean, that really needs to be for people that are going to be coming into Roach Brothers or, to the other vendors and stuff like that. And so Roach Brothers has been very gracious to kind of work the same deal out with the town and be very generous about sharing there. I think it'll probably be very congested initially. Obviously, when any new store openings, you always get a lot of extra traffic and people there. So I think things will be a little hectic for a while until things settle down and stuff, like anything else. Starbucks with the same thing too. But I think after a while, people kind of figure out what works and what doesn't when they drive around and how to park and stuff like that. So
maybe it's good that they're opening in the summer then.
Actually, that's
June
true
or
when people
right.
are away and stuff like that. Actually, give them maybe a chance for a little softer opening to kind of ease into things and work the bugs out. I'm sure things will be fine. And like I said, if you got your druthers about having it being a little too congested, there's too many people around, or things being dead, obviously you want to have it. You want to have it busy. You want to. I think that's a good problem to have if there's too many people around versus the downtown being abandoned. So it seems like it's going to work out quite well.
The reason I asked that was a lady had asked me when I was having my coffee. She has two little ones. And she was wondering about her parking.
Yeah.
And because there are also people that drive onto that lot that have, I believe it's for the little ones across the street.
Oh, the streets
on
of that,
South
yeah,
Street,
yeah. And I'm not sure quite how that was handled in the past with Lourdes either. You're right, because they've got to drop the kids off and stuff for daycare and things like that. And I don't know how that was handled before, but they'll just have to kind of work it out, and I'm sure it'll work out fine.
Good. That was.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
It's nice because an awful lot of people go to the library because
Yes.
they have special programs and so forth.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch back to the two very important factors that are going to be costly, I know. Fire department, police department.
Yep.
When are they going to get started?
With that, It looks like at the moment that we probably won't be looking at voting on the building in probably until maybe the fall. It looks like at the moment it would be maybe a special town meeting in the fall. At least that's what we're hearing from the Permanent Building Committee. But they're going to give us an update, like I said, at the end of this month when they come in to see us. I think for this town meeting, we'll just be talking about appropriating some money for more designs and stuff. They're not quite ready there. I don't think they quite have got all the numbers in yet, and then they'll see where they go from there. So we got some time to think about it and stuff and look at things.
Mark, I understand that once, and this is hypothetical, that they get started, we'll say for the fire department,
Right.
all right? They're going to move their trucks down, and that isn't going to be too difficult. But once you get into the police department and all the communications, that's going to be a little difficult.
Yes, and I think that's probably one of the things, too, that they kind of want to stage things out. One of the things that they've talked about as far as how to handle things is that, obviously, if you're going to take down the police and fire station, they've got to have a place, home for their equipment and
Right.
everything. And that really is going to be the DPW garage and stuff like that. Now, I'm not quite sure how they're going to set the communications. I'll have to chat with the chiefs about that. But certainly the equipment, at least the plan, from what I understand, would be to use some of the space down at the DPW garage while the other building's under construction. So you got to get one done before you move on to the other and stuff.
So you're shooting for conversation relative to both those in the fall?
Yes. Yeah. So I think that'll be good. And I think that's important too. You know, it's great if we can, although it costs a little extra, you know, to have a special town meeting. Sometimes for some of the more important projects and stuff like that, a lot of times it's better to have a separate meeting where the whole town meeting can really be focused on any issues people might have on that particular project, rather than trying to necessarily jam it in along with all the rest of the normal town business that takes place, you know, the annual town meeting in April. So I think that'll work out pretty well that way. Yeah.
Because it's going to be a point of confusion there for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, no question about that. But I'm just wondering because,
Yeah.
believe it or not, in Medfield, you know, a lot of inquisitive people.
Yeah. Well, I expect. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll go down and have my coffee and a roll, and I get questioned. You know,
Yeah.
and I say, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
well, like this morning. And I said, well, I'm going to be talking to the chairman of the Selectman meeting.
Yeah.
And we'll take it from there. Oh,
Yeah.
because they're interested. Number one gentleman said that he and his wife,
Yep.
everybody's moved out. Well, now he's thinking of selling,
Yep.
but affordable housing.
Yeah.
That's primarily on his mind.
Sure.
And as you had said earlier, which
Yeah.
I readily agree, a lot of them have moved out.
Yeah.
But he wants to stay in
Yeah.
Medfield.
I don't blame him.
But it's affordable housing, and
Right.
that's important.
Yeah.
And he said, well, there's some properties I understand by conversation from the selectmen meeting that they may be doing some rebuilding. They're at the Tilden Village in that lot area, and
Yep.
then down across from the center.
Oh, sure, for the extra
Accessory.
lot down the center and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So, I want to get back to the Clark Tavern. I knew there was something else we wanted to bring up, and I can talk about that in a second. So where I understand where Tilden Village is, there along Pound Street, there's some extra land to the right of it as you face it that's available. So I know there's been some talk off and on over the years about expanding onto that housing, and I'm not quite sure what the process is for doing that, and what the committee that oversees that would do, but that certainly I think would be needed and stuff like that. And it would be nice to see to expand that. I think that would make a big difference. Like I said, and the state hospital land is the perfect example too, as far as being able to meet a lot of that need too. We've got a lot of land up there to work with and stuff. You know, but I just want to get quickly. I know we're bouncing around a little bit, but
Sure, go ahead.
Clark Tavern. I want to get that before I forget and stuff. And obviously, we've been through a series of hearings and stuff like that. The town has been between the planning board and the zoning board, it's a tough one, very controversial. I know a lot of folks have attended the meetings and stuff because it'll be something different there, completely different there, new there and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And as we talked about at one of our selectmen's meetings, thank goodness the selectmen aren't involved in that process, so don't have to deal with it, because it is really very difficult. You know, on one hand, it's terrific to see someone wanting to fix that place up and keep it as a tavern. I think that's a wonderful thing. On the other hand, you certainly can understand with the neighbors and stuff like that that have lived there for many, many years, and this is a big change as far as the use of that building, you know, with the houses around that. So you're kind of stuck both ways, and like I said, thank goodness the selectmen, we have no say in that process and stuff like that. It really is up to the planning board, and particularly the zoning board, to rule on that, whether whether it's a permitted use or permitted reuse, you know, of that property. So I think that's you know, and I know they'll do a great job, and they obviously, both boards always give everything a lot of thought. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. It's obviously very, very controversial. So we'll see where that goes.
Mark, I know, being the chairman of the Selectmen, there's quite a few areas that you have to cover. Would you mind covering them as a chairman?
Sure. The way I see the role, I think, as the Board of Selectmen kind of town, we're kind of really like the Board of Directors, if you will, for the town. We're obviously your elected representatives to kind of oversee, generally speaking, how the town is run, the general direction of the town, where we want to go. There's three of us. You know, we each have a 3-year term. Every year, one of us is up for re-election. I'm up this year. And in the way we've always done it in the past, we rotate through the chairmanship, so the person that is up for re-election in their last year of their 3-year term is the chairman for that particular year. So I see our role really kind of as the Board of Directors to not get too much involved in operational issues, but just to make sure everyone's doing their job and meeting the needs of the town. Because we have very, very capable people that run the town in all different areas. I can't tell you how impressed I am as far as with my personal dealings with everyone in the different, you know, in different boards and the different departments, how well they do things. And there's just millions of things that no one will ever see that take place, you know, behind the scenes, you know, that just everything takes place very smoothly. So foremost, that's our job role, is to make sure that the town, I think, is running properly in general directions. And then there's a lot of other things that come up, obviously, in our meetings and stuff, but as far as permits, special permits, and approving a lot of kind of road things, but, you know, land acquisitions and things like that, I think our role is to kind of help provide the town, give some direction, and kind of communicate, I think, and kind of distill what the general, I think, views and kind of where the town wants to see itself going down the road. So I think that's kind of where we kind of want to head with things.
I had a question some time ago asked me, and you brought it up just a moment ago. I know that a selectman meeting, and I know the press is there all the time, but a selectman meeting, you talk about many things. But then comes up the question, and I know that it just isn't sitting there at the townhouse, and that's the end of it. So I know that you have a lot of places that you have to go and meet.
Oh, for other things, sure. Yeah, certainly. You know, there's a lot of really fun things I think that we get to do, but it is time consuming. And it does chew up a lot of time. You know, you can really be out. We certainly can be out every night of the week if we so desire. And you have to. Things are always very important. We all, between the three of us, you just kind of figure out what the balance is between your personal and your work and you know, your volunteer, you know, life with the town. But you know, we've got Eagle Scout ceremonies we go to. Obviously, all the different parades we're invited to, and we try to make sure we get there. Your Memorial Day, you know, Veterans Day, any type of major openings and things like that. And certainly there's committees that really, and boards that meet virtually every night of the week, that we try to sit in on their meetings to kind of get up to date as far as what's going on. And then things such as the State Hospital visioning session last Saturday. So a little bit here and there. And what you do is you always just try to do the best you can and try to fit things in, you know, to your schedule and what you think's important and stuff. And I think what's good with Pete, Richard, and myself, we've got different interests and different focuses on things. So between the three of us, we're able to cover everything, I think, quite well and not overlap too much. So it works out pretty well. It really does. It works out good.
Is it you questions to the chairman?
I don't think I have any other questions. No, thank you.
You know, I find I've watched the Selectman meeting, and one thing to me is very, very important to the people of Medfield is attendance. Sometimes it's kind of sparsy, and I'm wondering to myself, they should be there at the Selectman meeting. I mean, there's many situations that may arise that are immediate,
Yeah.
and you just don't want to hurry up and wait. And so consequently, I'm now that elections are coming up,
Yeah.
State Hospital is coming up, Fire Department, Police Department, and other areas are coming up. Very, very important. And I know there's a number of articles at the town meeting. You want to cover any of that?
Yeah, I think, like I said, we've got a lot of issues that we've really got to kind of deal with at town meeting that deal with money, obviously, and some major things. We're kind of in like a little bit of a crunch here as far as getting a lot of things done. You know, we talked about the water tower that's going to come up as far as at town meeting for funding that as a special warrant article. We have the normal operating budgets. You know, we'll have some money that'll probably have to be appropriated once again. Our ongoing work up at the state hospital, getting that cleaned up and moving forward with that. So we've got a lot of things that'll be coming up that we should see very shortly. I think if you pay attention to the selectmen's meetings, we'll continue to discuss them over the next couple of months now as we head towards town meeting. All the different boards and committees will be in to see us and review their budgets. That's kind of part of the annual cycle that goes through. The warrant committee is in charge is putting together the budget in the town meeting and how we're going to pay for everything. But as a courtesy, all of the boards and the department heads do meet with the selectmen and kind of review their budget so that it's on TV, it's in a public record, so people can hear about if there's any big issues that are coming up in any particular operational area of the town. They can hear about it first, you know, before they get to town meeting and kind of be aware of that. Certainly, we'd always welcome people to come to our selectmen's meetings. You know, they're always the first and third Tuesdays of the month, and then also the fourth Tuesday. The fourth Tuesday of the month now we've kind of set aside as an extra meeting where we kind of focus on a more specific topic and stuff like that. Not on necessarily a normal operational meeting, but more where we can dive into a different topic. Like for instance, as I mentioned, for this month, we'll be meeting with the permanent building committee to talk about the public safety building. You know, kind of going over that a little bit more. So we certainly welcome people to to come to our meetings if they can, and it varies the attendance as Theresa is well aware. You know, if not much is going on, it's fairly sparse attendance at our selectmen's meeting. But if we've got a particularly hot topic that's up, then it's standing room only. Everyone's kind of jammed into the room that everyone wants to hear firsthand what's going on or to voice their opinion. So it's tricky, and it's one of the things that I'm always trying to learn as the chairman as far as how to manage like a whole group full of people and everyone wants to speak. You know, how to manage the meeting and get everyone's point view, but not repeat things too much. And I'm always in awe of our town moderator, Scott McDermott, as far as how well he runs the town meeting. That's really hard to do. You know, to manage, to make sure all the viewpoints are heard, but not kind of drag on and stuff, and kind of hit the right balance. So that's always tricky. So it always is very difficult at times with our selectmen's meeting. Once again, we get a crowd full of people. You never know what people want to say or if they want to, voice their opinions on things. So once again, we're always love to have people come sit in our meetings and listen in and stuff and ask us questions anytime about what's going on.
You know, it's very, very important. A town meeting, a lot of history. Right here in Medfield, many, many, many years ago, and I found this out. A town meeting, there would be, they call the town crier, all right? Now, he'd walk down Main Street, and he'd have a big bell. And he'd be ringing this bell as he walked. The town meeting. The town meeting is the functionalization of the town meeting was for all and everybody to be there because it is their town. They must, by mandatory, to take a vote which they do later downstream. But it is up to the selectmen to make it to the point that they can inform the people. And that's what you do, Mark, and that's what Peterson does, and that's what the Sargon does. But the town meeting goes way, way back, before, believe it or not, the Revolutionary War.
Yeah,
The
and I
town meeting.
Yeah.
It belongs to the people. So I've said this before. It's so important for the people of Medfield to attend your selectmen meeting to find out what's really going on, and of course, that town meeting, because it's their town.
Yep.
So, and I've said this, so set the clicker aside, shut your TV off, get off your butt, and make it a point.
And it really, and it's exactly, and it's always, like I said, it's the last Monday in April. We always have it. It's just once a year, unless we're having a special town meeting. It's 3 hours maybe. This town is very, very efficient the way we put together our town meeting. There's not any wasted effort. It's very rare that it runs more than the one night. It's usually one night we go through things, and it's important for people to come down. If they can just set aside the time and come down on that Monday night and vote. I know it's more interesting for us up front. We're more involved in the process. I know it gets a little boring sometimes sitting in the seats while we're droning through some very, very mundane kind of stuff, rote stuff that has to be approved each year. But it really is, it's pure democracy. You know, everyone, you get to vote. You don't have a representative representing you. It's you. And there's 2 microphones there, and by God, you know, if you have an issue with an article or a budget or something like that, go up to the microphone and say something. And we have a number of people that do that every year. And we really know that there's many people that come up every year do the same thing. But it's your chance to be heard and to participate in a democracy. It's an amazing thing. I think our form of government is fairly rare. I think it's pretty much restricted to New England. I don't think it's very common, if at all, in other parts of the country. Most everyone else, I think, is, even if it's a little teeny town, I think a lot of times they have a mayor and a city council, even if the town's smaller than Medfield, in many parts of the country. So you don't get a chance to have a say in what goes on in town. And here you do.
But freedom all started right here.
Yeah. And I think that's probably why it continues that way.
It's always continued,
Yeah.
and it never. Overall, and I looked at that old clock on the wall, is there anything that you'd like to add relative to certain areas that you'd like to cover before we say goodnight?
I think just referencing, just for everyone to make sure they stay involved and informed about the state hospital. This is a big deal. It's been going on a long time. We have a terrific opportunity to really kind of do what we want with that land up there. The town can be in control. The state has been fabulous to work with and very cooperative, and they really want the town to decide how it is redeveloped. So when we have the special meeting in March, it's very important for everyone to come. We've got a terrific committee, as we always do whenever we have an issue. The State Hospital Advisory Committee, a number of people on that are working very, very hard, very bright people, and very informed, and I know they'll put together a good presentation for people. So it's important to stay involved about that, so that the town, we can decide what's best for everyone in town as far as what we want to do up there. It's a gorgeous piece of land if you haven't a chance to walk around, and we can make it really special up there with the right amount of impact on the town, and try to meet, I think, the needs that everyone has. We've got a tremendous opportunity.
And in closing, to the press, anything you'd like to add?
I'm just, if people have questions, just issues that maybe the press could look into, just let us know. But I appreciate you having me very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark, 2 questions before we close. Number 1, the town meeting date?
Monday, April 28th.
April 28th.
Yep.
And you're coming up for election, so...
Yep. So the election is Monday, March 31st, so the last Monday in March. So I'm up for re-election. So hopefully that will happen, and we'll see.
Let's hope, because I know that You've taken over and done an excellent job sitting there, and those were the questions.
Right, good.
So nice people. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed it. Mark,
Jack, thank
I've
you very
really
much.
enjoyed it. Teresa, I've enjoyed it. And
Jack.
as I have said to our viewing audience, we do this on a monthly basis with the Selectmen and the press. This is Jack Peterson wishing you and yours the very best. Good night.
This program was made possible through the generous support of your Medfield friends and neighbors, folks just like you. And thanks for watching.